The story begins in the future. A massive explosion on the surface of the sun completely destroys Earth's ozone layer, making it almost impossible for any living thing to survive. The situation becomes so dangerous that anyone exposed to direct sunlight is instantly burned. 15 years later, we meet an engineer named Finch, who is searching for food with his robot partner, Dewey. To protect himself from the deadly UV rays, Finch wears a special suit that shields his entire body from radiation and warns him whenever radiation levels rise. While humming to himself, Finch enters a store with Dewey. They gather dog food and other supplies. After finishing, Finch marks the building so he can remember it later. He then gets into a truck and, using a map, drives toward a deserted town that has been swallowed by sand. There is no sign of human life anywhere. Finch clears the road by pushing abandoned vehicles out of the way. Suddenly, his suit warns him that a massive storm is approaching. Realizing the danger, Finch quickly tries to escape. In his hurry, he nearly crashes into several cars but manages to get out of the town just in time. He eventually arrives at his underground laboratory, which once belonged to the same space energy company he worked for. The storm is rapidly approaching, but Finch manages to drag Dewey inside and narrowly saves himself. Once safe, Finch carefully cleans both his suit and Dewey. While bathing himself, however, he suddenly starts coughing violently. It is revealed that he is slowly dying from radiation exposure. After cleaning everything, Finch returns to his small room. His dog, Goodyear, jumps excitedly toward him, and Finch warmly hugs him. He feeds the dog the food he collected, but Finch himself only drinks a little, as he barely has anything left to eat. His eyes drift toward a can of peaches in the refrigerator. He stares at it for a moment but resists the temptation, deciding to save it for a special occasion. Finch then returns to his most important project. He is building a humanoid robot that will take care of Goodyear after his death. One of Finch's robots has already scanned every book in the library and stored all the information in a database. Now Finch plans to install this knowledge into the robot's brain. From time to time, he takes breaks to play catch with Goodyear. Later that evening, Finch reads a book about radiation and becomes deeply depressed after realizing that he does not have much time left. Instead of sleeping, he continues working on the robot. The head is almost complete, but it still needs eyes. So Finch removes Dewey's eyes, promising to replace them later. When he activates the robot, it cannot speak at first, but it answers Finch's questions by nodding its head. Finch is thrilled and quickly fixes the speech issue. Soon, the robot finally begins to talk, which frightens Goodyear and makes him bark. The robot chooses the name Jeff and tells Finch that it already knows everything stored in its database. According to its programming, Jeff must obey all of Finch's commands. The first rule is that it must never harm humans. Finally, Finch explains Jeff's true purpose, to take care of Goodyear after Finch dies. Suddenly, the power in the building shuts off. Finch goes outside and restarts the wind turbine, while Jeff tries to communicate with Goodyear. The dog simply urinates on Jeff's leg and walks away. At that moment, Finch notices a massive storm forming in the distance. He rushes inside and connects Jeff to the weather station. The data reveals terrifying news: within the next 24 hours, 4 different storms will collide and create a massive tornado that could last for about 40 days. Surviving such a storm would be impossible. Finch immediately decides they must leave as soon as possible. Finally, he opens and eats his can of peaches. Ignoring the blood dripping from his nose, he checks the map and realizes there is only one possible escape route left. They must head west, toward San Francisco. Finch quickly finishes building Jeff's body and speeds up the data transfer process. Even then, the system estimates that the robot will only be 72% complete. But Finch no longer has time to wait. He connects the robot's body to its head, and Jeff finally stands up. Finch begins teaching him how to walk, which only makes Goodyear bark even more. Jeff stumbles and falls several times while learning. Meanwhile, Finch packs all the essential supplies. Dewey, who no longer has eyes, keeps bumping into things. So Finch installs new eyes for him using the security camera system. Once everything is ready, the entire team boards the large RV and leaves. As they travel, they notice that the land around them has turned into a lifeless desert. Finch begins telling them about the beautiful days of Earth, when flowers bloomed and animals roamed freely. Soon, Finch realizes that a screw in Jeff's head is loose. When they reach a nearby city, Finch stops and repairs it. While Finch works, Jeff looks through Finch's postcard collection. One postcard of San Francisco is especially precious to Finch because someone important once sent it to him. Jeff says he likes the Sydney postcard and wishes he could go there, but admits it would be impossible without a plane. Eventually he shrugs and says that San Francisco sounds great too. After finishing the repairs, Finch decides to go out and search for food. As they travel through the streets, they eventually discover a movie theater. The entrance is locked with a heavy chain, but Jeff easily breaks it with his strength. Inside, Jeff sees his reflection in a mirror for the first time and becomes extremely excited. Meanwhile, Finch finds a bag of popcorn. He takes it outside and shows Jeff how powerful the sun has become. The kernels instantly pop within seconds under the intense heat. But suddenly, they notice another storm rapidly approaching. The storm closes in fast, leaving them with only one option: find shelter immediately. With Jeff's help, Finch ties the RV down with wires to prevent it from being blown away. Inside the RV, Finch places Goodyear safely inside a cabinet, covers all the windows, and calls for Jeff. Just as Jeff secures the final wire, the storm reaches them, but he manages to get inside in time. The storm slams into the RV, shaking it violently. One by one, the wires snap outside until only a single wire remains holding everything in place. After a long and terrifying struggle, the storm finally passes. They step outside and discover that the only wire still holding the RV was the one Jeff tied with all his strength. Unfortunately, one of the tires has been destroyed. Jeff lifts the RV with his own hands so Finch can replace the tire easily. That night, they rest there. The next morning, they unpack the solar panels and continue their journey. Suddenly, Finch begins coughing violently again. He stops near a restaurant to rest. Parking the RV in the shade, he runs inside with Goodyear without wearing his suit. But then he notices something alarming: he is coughing up blood. At that moment, Goodyear starts barking. The dog refuses to come out with Jeff. Finch takes Goodyear by the leash and brings him into the restaurant, telling Jeff to stay behind and watch the RV. While Finch plays with Goodyear inside, Jeff sits in the driver's seat. Curious, he turns on the music and attempts to drive the RV. Unfortunately, he immediately crashes into another car. Hearing the noise, Finch rushes outside, with Goodyear following behind him. The dog is about to run into the deadly sunlight, but Finch stops him just in time. Angry, Finch scolds Jeff and orders him to park properly. But Jeff accidentally crashes the vehicle into the restaurant this time. Frustrated, Finch extends his hand into the sunlight and shows Jeff how badly it burns. He yells that Goodyear could have died because of Jeff's mistake and warns him to be extremely careful. His most important responsibility is protecting Goodyear. Later, as they continue their journey, Finch notices that Jeff seems very upset. To cheer him up and help him improve, Finch decides to teach Jeff how to drive properly. At first, Jeff struggles and bumps into things, but gradually he learns the technique and starts driving smoothly. That night, they stop and watch the beautiful northern lights together. With the ozone layer gone, the lights are now clearly visible. Jeff asks why they don't travel at night if the sun is so dangerous. Finch explains that the world is now filled with wandering survivors. Many of them are desperate and hungry, attacking anyone they see in the darkness. The next morning, Jeff hears Goodyear barking and quickly runs to Finch. Finch is vomiting and shivering badly. Jeff takes care of him and tells him to rest. After making sure Finch is safe, Jeff begins driving the RV himself and eventually reaches another city. Jeff asks Goodyear to stay with Finch while he goes out to search for supplies. Taking Dewey with him, Jeff enters a hospital. Unfortunately, there isn't much left inside. Jeff tells Dewey to wait at the entrance while he searches upstairs. However, neither of them realizes that someone is secretly watching them from the darkness. Upstairs, Jeff finds some medicine and a jacket, which he puts on. Soon, he discovers a cabinet filled with useful supplies. Meanwhile, downstairs, Dewey also finds some food. But as he moves closer, he suddenly gets caught in a trap. Back in the RV, Finch wakes up and notices that his robots are gone. Realizing something is wrong, he struggles to put on his protective suit and rushes outside despite his weak condition. Within moments, he reaches Dewey. Seeing him trapped and badly damaged, Finch feels heartbroken. Unable to save him, Finch gently turns off Dewey's power. Just then, he hears footsteps approaching and prepares himself for a fight. But the person coming toward him is Jeff. Finch angrily scolds Jeff for not noticing the trap. Suddenly, they hear another strange noise nearby. Realizing they might not be alone, they quickly begin to run. While going down the stairs, Finch suddenly starts coughing violently and collapses to his knees. Together, they rush back to the RV and quickly drive away. A few hours later, night falls. Finch soon realizes that a vehicle behind them is following them. Since Jeff has night vision and can drive in the dark, he turns off all the RV lights to avoid being seen. But the vehicle continues to follow them. They try to speed up, and soon Finch notices an underpass ahead. At the last moment, he turns the steering wheel and drives off the road toward it. Jeff quickly warns him that the RV is taller than the underpass and will get stuck. But Finch, panicking, keeps driving forward to hide from the pursuer. Jeff was right. The RV crashes against the underpass, damaging the solar panels on the roof. Despite the damage, Jeff pushes with all his strength and manages to hide the RV completely underneath. They wait quietly and nervously for the car behind them to leave. During this time, Jeff notices that Finch is carrying a gun for protection. Fortunately, the vehicle eventually drives away. Finch steps outside and examines the damage to the RV. Frustrated, he curses himself, saying he can't even repair it anymore. In this condition, reaching San Francisco seems impossible. Jeff tries to encourage him, but Finch loses his temper and yells at him. Even so, Jeff stays calm and walks back into the RV, saying that he still believes Finch will find a solution. The next morning, Finch rests while Jeff drives the RV. While looking through the postcards, Jeff notices that the San Francisco postcard is signed by Finch's father, while the others are blank. At that moment, the onboard computer suddenly reports that the UV radiation in the area is much lower than before. Just then, a butterfly hits the RV's windshield. Confused, Jeff stops the vehicle and helps Finch outside. Finch cautiously stretches his hand into the sunlight. To his surprise, it doesn't burn. Overjoyed, he steps outside and finally feels the warm sunlight again. Nearby, he notices butterflies and even a flower. After driving for several more hours, they begin to see trees and plants returning to the land. To celebrate, Finch puts on his protective suit, parks the RV, and sits outside for a picnic in the sunlight. Jeff then tells him that he saw all of them standing on a bridge in a dream the previous night. Hearing this makes Finch incredibly happy, because Jeff has begun to dream like a human. Jeff then asks why Finch lied about the postcard. Finch tells him another story. When he was a child, his mother used to say that his father had Viking blood in his veins. Finch then shows Jeff a picture of a Viking funeral. His father had died before Finch was born. He was an engineer who built massive bridges and traveled all over the world for his work, so Finch never had the chance to meet him. However, on Finch's 15th birthday, he received a postcard. His father wrote that he hoped to meet his son someday. Finch even bought the suit he now wears for that special meeting. Sadly, he never heard from his father again. Jeff finds the story fascinating. He calculates that if they leave quickly, they could reach the Golden Gate Bridge within 18 hours, the same place where Finch's father once sent the postcard. But Finch reminds him of the truth. His condition is getting worse, and he knows he doesn't have much time left. Instead, Finch throws a ball and teaches Jeff how to play with Goodyear. However, whenever Jeff throws the ball, Goodyear still brings it back only to Finch, because he doesn't fully trust Jeff yet. Suddenly, Finch begins coughing violently and spits out blood. Jeff rushes to help him, but Finch gently tells him that he has already done more than enough. Finch shakes Jeff's hand and hugs him. After that, Finch lies down inside the RV, and Goodyear curls up beside him. Jeff stays outside, organizing their supplies. As the sun sets, he suddenly hears Goodyear crying and realizes that Finch has passed away. To honor him, Jeff and Goodyear give Finch a Viking-style funeral, cremating him while he still wears his suit. At first, Jeff doesn't know what to do next. But then he remembers the promise he made to take care of Goodyear. He feeds the dog and throws a ball for him. This time, Goodyear finally brings the ball back to Jeff. From that moment on, they begin to trust each other. They play together, and Goodyear even hugs him. Finally, they continue their journey toward Finch's destination. When they arrive in San Francisco, Jeff builds a memorial for Finch and walks with Goodyear to see the Golden Gate Bridge. Then, together with Goodyear, he sets off to begin a new life. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.